conference. At this time, Ms. Tiffany, I would ask for a roll call.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Honorable Mayor Latoya Cantrell.
Present.
Honorable Member Joseph Javuso.
Here.
Honorable Member Helena Moreno. Chief Administrative Officer Gilbert Montano.
Present.
Interim Finance Director Romy Samuel. Professor Mara Baumgarten-Force.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you so much. First, I just want to acknowledge our new CFO, Ms. Romy Samuel. Thank you so much. You look good up here. And we just appreciate, again, your continued service to the city of New Orleans, which is about 3 decades now, but in this capacity. And we just we're also like to bring forth our guests on today and thank them for being here. Mr. Ricardo Callender, who is the Director of PFM, Financial Advisors for the City of New Orleans, and Mr. Kyle Wright, Director of CLB Porter, who will be giving us an update relative to our plan for the upcoming bond issuance. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you just for making sure that you're working with the city to stay very focused on what we're about to embark on, meaning this bond issuance, but also relative to our fund balance and fiscal responsibility and prudence around it. The council brief for presenting to us directly on this afternoon. And Councilmember Jeruso, I've asked that they brief each council member as well relative to the presentation they're going to give today, simply because I knew that we wouldn't have a full complement of the council here, but the importance of what's being presented is critical. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Ricardo, and you'll move us through the presentation.
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you for having us today. As the introduction said, my name is Ricardo Callender. I'm with PFM Financial Advisors. I'm here alongside Kyle Wright with CLB Porter. Kyle and I both of our firms have served and do serve as the financial advisors to the Board of Liquidation and have assisted the city through the Board of Liquidations in primarily bond transactions for really wanted to, Kyle here will point out. But the 3 points in the executive summary here is that the current trajectory of the use of fund balance will put that fund balance in a critical level if we stay on that same trajectory moving forward. In addition to that, what that will do is that it's going to could cause a cash crunch on the city's finances. Those 2 things both contribute to the city's credit rating process, which, like I said, that trajectory and that continued use of fund balance and depletion of cash could result in negative implication to the city's credit ratings, which would ultimately increase the city's cost of borrowing. Just to take a step back now, in addition to the general financial management of the city and being mindful of your savings account, not depleting your savings account, and also not using up the cash that you have available for day-to-day operations, we've mentioned that the city's going through the current of the budget
presented, right? Dollars on consider restricted bucket or dollars on hand to supplement the money. So we don't want to consider restricted funds as an additional source of unassigned fund balance, right? We don't want to commingle the two. We want to consider restricted as one bucket. We want to consider unassigned fund balance as a different bucket. So with that point being made, the unassigned fund balance in 2023 was $186 million. Of that $186 million that was on hand at the end of the year, a portion of that is already accounted for through FY 2023 grant receivables. So those are grants that the city pays in advance, right? These are federally reimbursable grants. The city pays them out on the front end, and then at some point in the future, they collect monies from whether it's FEMA, HUD, whomever. So those dollars are already accounted for and already gone, already out the door, right? So you have to take that, you have to exclude those dollars from the amount of fund balance that's on hand. And then we have FY 2024 appropriations. So those are appropriations that have already happened in FY 24, $92 million that has already been accounted for and should also be excluded from fund balance from the FY 23 ending balance. And so if you take those two numbers out, you'll see that we only have $36 million of fund balance still on hand, estimated fund balance on hand at the conclusion of 2024. As I mentioned previously, this doesn't include surpluses or deficits. That's just based on these events in this chart, what we anticipate happening. And you'll see that that's 81% of the fund balance has been spent just in fiscal year 2024 and a portion in 2023 with the grant-related receivables. So we just want to make sure that we are being cognizant of the impacts that we're having on the fund balance, because to the extent that we're not thinking about these things or not aware of these things, and we assume that we have more money than we actually do, and that may not be the case. So I just wanted to make sure that I'm being clear about what the impacts may be and how those impacts may be mitigated in the future by surplus or deficit, but to the extent that we had a structurally sound budget, that there would be no surplus or deficit, right? So this would be the scenario that is most likely to occur. So when we talk about the potential implications of using fund balance, the first implication that we're going to look at is the implication that the city won't simply have enough cash on hand to do what they need to do at the end of the year. And I'll give you an example. In the first bullet, we use the term working capital, right? I'm a nerd. You have to forgive me. That's a common word for me, but I'll explain it here, and please don't think I'm insulting your intelligence. I just want to be clear. Working capital, from an accounting perspective, simply current assets minus current liabilities. Think about it as how much cash you actually have on hand, right? So that's what we mean by working capital. What we'd like to emphasize here is that in the event that the city does not collect revenue on a ratable basis, meaning you don't get revenues every January, February, March, April, May, so on and so forth, right? We rely on taxes. Will in fact worth that. If you pay several taxes were take away the has been in the past. And with that, I'll pause for any questions you may have.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. You spot on. I thought it was necessary for you to come before this body and also to make yourselves available as we work with members of the New Orleans City Council who are responsible on the budget side, but of course working in collaboration with the administration. And so with that, I'll ask for any comments or questions from the dais at this time. Yes, ma'am.
So first off, if you don't like what you're doing, I think you could have a few. Historically, do you...
Part of your question, does it go...
We submitted to ebb and flow, so looking that we're lacking. So we're...
Couple years. So whereas
Yes.
you might say, oh yeah, we'll get that money back eventually. The reality is that number is actually increasing. The other reality is that if, let's say, nothing else were to happen in New Orleans and you eventually were able to recoup the full $57 million, that'd be great. But that's not the true reality. The true reality is that, there will be events that happen moving forward at some point. And even if you eventually catch up with that $57 million, there will be another $57 or $60 million coming down after that.
Any sense of how much may actually potentially be collectible?
Those dollars reimbursed. Any other questions from the dais?
So, Ricardo, you mentioned the GFOA recommends establishing a formal policy that is adhering to a minimum. For New Orleans, you said that's 4 times the general. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Finish it. GFOA, the Government Financial Officers Association, does not designate a minimum per city. Generally speaking, this is for communities of all shapes and sizes. They recommend a minimum of 2 months. I think what I'm saying is that you may want to consider a higher fund balance threshold here for the city of New Orleans for the many reasons that you already know. And
just to add on to Ricardo's point, when he says 2 months, he means 2 months of annual expenditures.
Correct.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you all again for your presentation. And, this is one of the reasons, Councilman, I said, we wanted to make them available to meet with individual council members because of the position that we're in, but also wanting to protect the fund balance that we worked hard to create. But in addition to that, protect our credit rating that we worked hard to sustain, and move forward with the bond sale that we need to make happen to realize the projects that are in queue. So we do have a plan that we will work with in collaboration, of course, with the New Orleans City Council, who has the fiduciary responsibility in terms of the budget. So thank you again so much. Anything else from the dais? Hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved by Councilman Giarrusso, seconded by CEO Montano. All in favor, please vote your machines. Thank you very much.